All right, so the project for today is some resealing of our rear fan. So this is the fan over the rear couch and bed area. And in the last rainstorm, I found that there was a little bit of water dripping from this corner here. And as I look close, I see some residue along the front edge. And so this has probably been leaking for a little while. Because we had some other leaks, I hadn't noticed this one, but getting a little puddle on the floor is not a good sign. And if we were actually sleeping back here, it would have been dripping right on the bed. And so not a good way to wake up in the middle of the night. So I haven't ever taken one of these out before, so I'll have to experiment a little bit to see how it comes out. The fan itself is in great shape. I think it was installed not too long ago, probably just a few years ago. So I definitely don't want to break anything as I take this apart. When I look at the top side, there's quite a bit of silicone and other types of sealant up there, and so I'll need to take a little bit of time and clean all that up and remove all that I can, so that when I reinstall it, I can do a nice job and make sure everything seals up. I think right now I will use some butyl tape around the edge as I seal that down. I think there'll probably be a surface there that I can seal to, and then I'll use probably a little lap seal on the screw heads and maybe along the outside perimeter to try to make sure everything seals up. So first step is to remove this one, and then we'll work on sealing it and reinstalling. Okay, we're up here on the roof, and I started removing a couple of the screws here. So took a couple of those out. There's just lots of this loose silicone starting to flake off. The screw heads obviously have some silicone on them where they had been sealed, but the silicone along the edge is starting to peel up. You can see some gaps in the corners and places, and so I think it's not too surprising that somewhere on this it's leaking. As we took the cover off underneath, there was some water that was trapped in there, and so this has probably been leaking for a while. And there may be other places on the roof that we need to work on too, but I think this fan cover is going to be a good place to start. All right, so I've taken out all the screws and I've lifted this up, and it's actually not even stuck at all. It just lifted right up like this. And what I found is there's no butyl here at all. It just appears to all be silicone. And I can see that there used to be some butyl, but I don't see that anymore. And now there's all these cracks in the silicone, and even dirt is getting in through those cracks. And so I think that this has really gone past its prime, and the silicone is just not a good sealant for this. I think the butyl will hold up a lot better, especially with these screw holes here. I should get a much better seal with butyl all around the edge here, and then screwed down, and a little lap seal on the top side. So I think I've found the problem, and I think I know the solution to make it better. Okay, so I have the surface cleaned up, and it took quite a bit of scraping to get the silicone off, but what I used really was a straight edge and just sliced the silicone off. It was interesting, the silicone hadn't even really stuck to the bottom of the fan, and so that's probably part of why it had been leaking. Not only was it cracked and dirt was getting in, but the fan was kind of just sitting there screwed down by the screws, and the silicone was hard and not really adhering anymore. So what I'm going to use is some butyl tape, and this is 3/4 inch thick. I think it's like 1/8 of an inch as far as the thickness. I guess width is 3/4 inch, 1/8 inch thick. And I'm just going to put a line of this so I can see where the outside edge of the fan is, and I'm going to put a strip of this down each side and make sure that I'm covering where the screw holes are, and I will make sure that I've got a continuous bead of this butyl along the side here and covering up all the screw holes. And then I got some new stainless steel screws that I'll put in through the top here. I'll use stainless steel screws on the bottom also for the cover, and that should be about it. At the end I'll do a little lap seal around the outside edge just to seal it up, but this is turning into a pretty straightforward project. Alright, so I've got the cover on, and turns out the butyl tape stuck really nicely to the bottom of the fan, and so I actually positioned it on the bottom of the fan, making sure I was covering up all the screw holes, and then just set it down, lined up the screws. My new stainless steel screws went in great, so that worked out good. The butyl squished down nicely, and so I'll put just a little bit of lap seal around the edges and the tops of the screws, but I feel really good about the overall result, and we'll see in a few days with the next rainstorm if we fix the leak.